Hey there, are you an entrepreneur that is really great at being on stage? Do you love the microphone? Do you love to be out in front of people? Are you amazing at being able to shine the light on a really great idea? And do you oftentimes like to be in the spotlight? If any of that sounds like you, then today's episode might very well be something that can save you a ton of time and make you a ton of money doing the things you love to do the most, because we're going to be talking about the Wealth Dynamics star. The star profile, people like Oprah, people like Beyonce or Tony Robbins. We're going to talk about how they create, build wealth, and how you can make sure that you secure the cash flow so that you can continue to make money year after year after year while maintaining the same exact brand. So if you are a star profile, you're going to love this video. Go ahead and like the video if you like it. Comment down at the bottom. Subscribe if you haven't done so already to this channel. But let's go ahead and dive in right now to talk about the Wealth Dynamics star. Okay, so we are going to be talking today about number one, differentiation. So what makes a star different from the other 7 Wealth Dynamics profile types? This is incredibly important because to understand who you are is only the first part. Understanding who you are not is actually what gives you the ability to focus on the things that matter most. This is why I always say that 1 minute you spend on trainings with us will save you 7 minutes of trainings with other people, because 7 out of 8 of the books you read, the mentors you have, the people that you listen to on the radio or watch on TV are a different profile than you, which means if you're taking advice from the wrong person, even if it's the right advice, if it's wrong for you, it's not going to work. So we want to understand what makes you as a star so different and so unique, or to use a star word, special. Then we're going to go into individualization. That is to say, what makes you different from other stars? Because not all stars are created equally, and we can see that as we begin to meet and know other stars. But it's important to understand what makes you different and how to use that as you're actually interfacing in your business as a star. Then we're going to go into the final 10 minutes focusing on application, which is how do I actually take this whole star thing, go out into the marketplace and make money from it? How do I secure the cash flow? How do I build wealth? What is it that I'm doing that's creating wealth? And then how do I make sure that I'm not just going out there and being loud and making lots of noise, but I'm not actually building anything that's going to last? So we're going to get into all of that, and we're going to begin right now as we dive into differentiation. And for that, I will share my iPad. So I see some familiar faces on here. I see some people that are in my mentoring program, some of you that have been to my workshops, some of you I've never met. And so maybe you've seen this before, maybe you haven't, but it really helps to begin this conversation by looking at the Wealth Dynamics square. Now, the Wealth Dynamics square always moves from the top. We start with dynamo, that is the spring energy, into blaze, which is summer, tempo, which is fall, and still, which is winter. And these 4 different energies, as we move through these cycles, are the phases of business, but they also are the different types of people. So to begin to understand this, we start with the wealth formula. So in Wealth Dynamics, when we're growing our companies and we're growing our businesses, most importantly, when we're growing our personal and our family's legacy wealth, we need to have a way of approaching that systematically. So our system is called wealth equals value times leverage. And that is to say that the activity that you do is going to either create value that is exchangeable for money, or it is going to leverage that value so that more people are able to receive your service or your product. So some profiles are better at creating value. Some profiles are better at creating leverage. What it really comes down to is how you think and how you act. So if you look here, you'll notice that there's a cross that goes through the middle of the Wealth Dynamics square. On the y-axis here, we have what's called the thinking dynamic. And this is how a person processes information. When you're trying to solve for a problem, what are you thinking about most likely? So if you're at the bottom of the square here, then your thinking dynamic is what we call sensory, meaning that you are grounded in the here and the now. You're looking for connecting the dots between that person and that person for the need that they have today. You solve for that, you get paid. Sensory thinking is very much ear to the ground. Now, the opposite of that, because this is a spectrum, it's a duality. So the more we move up the Wealth Dynamics square, the less sensory we are and the more intuitive. Now, this intuition or this intuitive thinking dynamic means that you can connect dots that aren't even there. You can see the future. You can see possibilities of what could be. And that ability for you to kind of see what could be is why so often the dynamos, the people who are creators and ultimately stars, are the ones that are coming up with the products and the ideas and the brands, whereas the tempos, the people that are down at the bottom here, are more likely to not need to come up with any of that. They just trade on the existing brands in the marketplace in real time. Now, this, of course, is how we think, but there's also how we act. If how we think is what creates value, how we act is what creates leverage. And there's two different, what we call action dynamics. So you'll see here on the x-axis, we have the action dynamic. So on the left side here are what we call the steal frequency. This person's action dynamic is introverted. Introverted action dynamic means I'm gonna get it done myself. Opposite of that is the extroverted action dynamic, meaning I'm gonna get it done through other people. Now, don't mistake this to mean that introverted is I am hiding behind the scenes all the time, or extroverted is I'm the life of the party. There are plenty of extroverts who like their alone time. There are plenty of introverts that like to be around people. What this is talking about isn't where you get your energy from people or from being alone. This is talking about how do you get things done. That is to say, if I told you that we had a flat tire, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna say, I know how to fix the flat tire? Or let's say you don't know how to fix it. How are you gonna figure it out? You're gonna get on YouTube, you're gonna go research, you're gonna figure out how do I fix a flat tire? Or an extroverted action dynamic would say, I'm not gonna figure it out, I'm just going to call somebody that can come fix the tire. Right? So the extroverted action dynamic gets things done through people, through others, and the introverted action dynamic gets things done through yourself. And even if you're doing it through other people, you have to have such a high knowledge of how it's getting done that it's really just a matter of delegation. Extroverted, you can completely just outsource the answer, the solution, who can solve this. Introverted, how does this need to be solved? So where does the star sit on the wealth dynamic square? Right up top in the corner, at where it meets highly intuitive, highly extroverted, which is why stars tend to be the people that are some of the most outgoing and dynamic people there are. That's why they're oftentimes with the microphone on stage. That's why they're so likable most of the time. There, of course, is the shadow side of the star, which we will get into when we move away from now the differentiation and into your individualization. So for that, we will go back over to this share and we'll take a look at a Wealth Dynamics profile report. So by now you should have taken the Wealth Dynamics test and you know that you're a Wealth Dynamics star. Now, if you don't know exactly what your percentages are and you just watched my other video where I talked about stars and you said, hey, that's me, please go take the test, because once you understand what your 4 frequencies are, the amount you have of dynamo, tempo, blaze, and steal, that is going to begin to reveal to you exactly how you as an individual can operate in your highest flow. That is to say that not all stars are created equally. Some stars, I actually have a friend who lives in Austin, Texas. His name is Keith. He is 50% dynamo, 50% blaze, and 0 of the other 2, right? He is the archetypal star, okay? And when you meet him, you know that this is true. That's very different from this graph we have right here, which is 36, 36, 12, and 16. This person actually has double digits in all 4 areas. So why is this important? Because sometimes you might read this report, if you're my friend Keith, and think, dude, everything in here nails me between the eyes. It's exactly who I am. But if you're this person right here and you've got, 16 steal and 12 tempo, there's parts of this where you'll go, that's not really nailing me. Don't make the mistake of throwing the baby out with the bathwater. The point of Wealth Dynamics is not to read a report and say, oh, that fits really well. I've got enough profiling tests and Myers-Briggs and discs and stuff that I've read through that I read it and it feels like it nails me, but then I don't know what to go do with it. Right? What Wealth Dynamics does for me is it gives me practical steps that I can immediately go take action on. Well, when I look at this person's profile, I know that he's going to win or she's going to win by being in her star profile, but also needs to be aware that she has that ability to go into the tempo, that ability to go into the steal, but has quite a bit of dynamo, right? And so being that star that is leaning, quite a bit more into steal than tempo is going to be okay with some of the systems in detail. Okay, so what that means is, as you live your profile, it begins to expose to you where your areas of flow are, not when you read a report, but when you begin to live it. So everything I'm about to read, if it nails you, it means you're probably really high dynamo, really high blaze. If it's some parts don't quite feel exactly precise for you, a couple ways of looking at that. One, you may have been conditioned for the last 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 years of your life to live outside of your natural flow. And so when you answered the questions in the profile test, you answered them according to where you've become skilled rather than the areas that are of most natural flow to you. So you may find that after living as a star for the next year, when you come back and take the test again, you have much less tempo, much less steal because you found more flow living in those other areas. Only time will tell if you choose to live your life according to your profile. So let's talk about the strengths and weaknesses of the star and understand that these will be true to you only to the extent that you are high dynamo, high blaze. Number one, you are creative. right? You're outgoing, able to motivate and inspire other people, and quick to connect, right? You can hold the stage. They say that creators build the stage, but stars steal the stage, right? High energy. Everybody knows that you love to have fun. You know how to have fun. And oftentimes you're the life of the party. Stars are intoxicating. Now, the weakness of a star is that they don't always know when to shut that off. You might say you're shining too brightly, or perhaps that you're shining in the wrong direction. They say that stars that are shining a light on themselves are, well, that's a supernova. It explodes. Stars are supposed to shine light onto the planets, onto the universe, onto other things. You're not supposed to shine inward. So when you're trying to bring all the attention on yourself, sometimes you can feel a bit overpowering. You can forget to consider the other people around you in the room. Often stars, especially the ones that have low steel, are not going to be that strong at detail. And you often run first with ideas before considering other ideas, right? You're not looking for what's the best decision because the one you have now seems good and you run with it. And oftentimes you run in the wrong direction. And there's no greater challenge than running enthusiastically in the wrong direction to realize, oops, I was supposed to be going that way. So this is what we look at when it comes to stars. Now let's break down, how do you begin to build wealth as a star profile? Wealth creation for stars, number one, begins with your foundation. Your foundation is going to be to define the niche where you can contribute the most to others. Okay, get deal makers around you so that they can manage your deals, get business teams around you to manage your company, and get supporters around you to manage you. Okay, so if you think about a star as like an actor or a musician, right, a Hollywood star, oftentimes the first person they're teaming up with is a deal maker, their manager, somebody that can actually go take care of all the contracts and the deals and handle, you know, the when and the where, the timing, and make sure things are taken care of. And then they also have a financier, somebody that is handling and controlling their cash and their money to make sure that they don't run out of everything that they're making. Because one of the big character traits of a star is you're one of the best people at making money. You make it so fast and you spend all of it, and there's nothing left. So stars oftentimes miss those details around your money. So you want to build the right support teams around you to manage you, and the right people around you to manage the company. The key is to see your brand grow year over year, despite your products and businesses changing. This is one of the real big keys for stars. You see all the other people out there, the Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway guys that have the same company for 50 years, and you think maybe I'm supposed to do that. No, you're the opposite. You're the star. Your company and product could change 100 times. As long as you're taking care of your reputation and your brand, you will continue to grow your wealth because you are the product. Your moment of wealth creation comes from actually defining and refining your identity. So truly, vanity does rule here, right? It's all about you being out there, showing people exactly how you can help them make their lives better. Now, that could, again, be better done by shining the light on others, the way, say, Oprah does by introducing people to Eckhart Tolle, than it would be from shining the light on yourself, maybe the way that you did when you were in junior high school and got yourself into trouble. Many stars, however, do fail to create a unique identity that people can relate to, right? So focus on this over everything else until you're confident that you know exactly what people are saying behind your back, okay? You want to be intentional about your brand. Now, I get people sometimes in my workshops that when I bring up personal brand and we start working on what we call your brand triad or your Dymaxion brand, they go, oh, I don't want to have a personal brand. And I always remind them, you already do. You're just not in control and not actually intentional about how people are perceiving you. But you already have a brand. Every time that you post anything on Instagram or Facebook or show up at church or the country club, you are an example of your brand, from the way you dress to who you hang out with to the way that you talk and the things that you say. And for stars, this is more important than for any of the other 8 profiles. So how do you create value? Well, you create value by building your exposure, crystallizing your brand, and fine-tuning your talents to fit that brand. Okay, linking up with other people who already have the best products and then leveraging their systems so that you can come out to the market in a bigger way, right? Perfect examples of this are people like Tony Robbins, right? He gets on other people's stages as well as UPW. Now, he's, of course, grown to be a behemoth, very high level on the wealth spectrum. But even in the beginning, as he's changed products over time, he's a star. He's constantly out there in front of the marketplace. And so he has that ability to change things. But people will bring him in who already have the leverage systems, who already are filling events because of his star power. People will associate with him who have great products, like Dean Graziosi. They had the largest, in 2019, they had the largest promotion online. I can't remember how many tens of millions of dollars they made in a single day. That wasn't Tony's product, right? But it was somebody else's product and somebody else's leverage systems. So how do you own the value that you are creating? Well, First, you avoid delivering value liberally with no ownership or leverage, right? So as a star, your value and your ability to cash in on your brand increases as you make yourself less accessible. Okay, so you need to create ownership of your identity, owning all the intellectual property rights relating to your material, your brand, your image, and managing how other people use it. Because if people misuse your star power, they misuse your brand in a way that decreases trust in the marketplace, it makes it difficult for you to be able to climb the wealth spectrum because you're now having to fight against the activities that other people did in your name. I have a friend, he is a mechanic profile. He teamed up with a star profile and he started a YouTube channel. It became the largest YouTube channel of its type. And then the star left the company. Well, the way that the contracts are written, even though the star left, his likeness and all of the videos that he had created during his time with the mechanic were owned by the mechanic and his company. So they were able to continue to cash in on that. But when he left the company, he was no longer able to make money or even control how his likeness and image was being used. So let's talk about how you actually begin to leverage this value that you're creating. The most important area for you to leverage is your time. Like I said, making yourself less accessible. So be ruthless about what is low value time and delegate those tasks to other people. Focus on magnifying your brand and create leverage through your packaging, duplication of content delivery, and duplication of promotional materials. So again, Tony Robbins, this guy has a Guinness World Record for the longest running infomercial. Talk about duplication of a brand. Over and over and over again, personal power was being sold, I believe, for 30 straight years on like QVC or whatever. So understanding this as a star, you can leverage your star power by magnifying your brand. The more people know who you are and what you're up to in the world, the more there's going to be attraction to you. You then remove yourself so that you're not spending your time, but instead you're leveraging your likeness and your brand and your pull power to be able to continue to create wealth over a long period of time. And then how do you secure the cash flow? Well, unlocking the cash flow when you are the product is a bit of a fine art. So you need to negotiate your returns up front and link your income to your pulling power, right? So I actually am mentored by one of the guys behind the scenes who does the infomercials for people like Tony Robbins. And he's told me some stories about how Tony, when he gets to the end of the infomercial, gets these big checks and then goes out and like buys a big car. If Tony didn't negotiate that up front, when he got to the end of that infomercial, they may say, well, dang, man, we made a lot of money, but all you did was put your face on it. Your face is valuable because it is the pull. It is what is bringing people to the brand. Okay, so this could be ownership and equity. This could be sales commissions, signing fees, brand royalties, service fees, license fees, endorsement fees. It's all about you getting paid for pulling people in. And to whatever extent right now, you're not pulling people in and you're just having to show up and promote things or be a salesperson or whatever you have found as your way of making money, understand that that is only because you have not focused yet on really developing, curating, and promoting your personal brand. Now, you may be watching this right now and you are a star and you're not in business. You're not an entrepreneur. Everything up until now has really been for entrepreneurs who want to build wealth. Now you might say, well, Trey, I'm at a pretty low level in business. I just got out of college, or I just lost my business because something happened in the economy and I'm starting over. Or maybe you're not a star at all, but you want to bring a star onto your team. Well, stars on a team are a little bit different from stars that are building businesses. Stars on a team are actually your best promoters. So if right now you're like, I need to just get into flow and get some cash, don't worry about building your personal brand and all of that. Just go get on a team where you're the promoter until you can start to build your brand. And if you're smart about it, make sure that team is in communication with the exact market that you ultimately want to be talking to as your own brand. Okay, you're going to need to be leading from the front as a star. So if you got a star on your team, you can put them out front. You can give them the chance to shine, give them the space to deliver results, right? But do not tie them down. Stars hate being told what to do, being told that they have to do things a certain way. They like to have that freedom because for them, that variety and that growth is important. And so they don't like to be held down in any way. Give them the support and encouragement that they need, and they will be the best spokesperson in the group. But if you discourage a star, they will be your biggest critic. Hell hath no fury like a star scorned. Okay, that's it for our Wealth Dynamics stars. Hopefully this video was powerful for you. If you are a star, please go ahead and like, comment, let us know down below, say I'm a star, and tell us who you are and where you're from, because you know you want to. If you're not a star and you'd like to take the test to find out what profile type you actually are, you will find a link down in the comments where you can take the test at about a 20% discount, so that's pretty cool. And if you know you're a star and you're saying, man, this is really cool, it's time for me to build my team, build my brand, get the right people around me so that I can be out there shining and making as much money as
possible, then there's also a link down in the description where you can book a call with a member of my team so we can see if we can help you do that. All right. I hope this video has been helpful for you. Like all the videos on this page, it was intended to help you get into more flow in your life and your business. If it has done that, then would you please do me a favor and like this video, comment down below, share it, leave us a question if you have one, but most importantly, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to this channel, click that notification bell so that you never miss an episode. And until I see you again, remember, keep finding your flow.